Hi, I'm Randall Robinson.
Hi, I'm Hillary Gamble.
Hillary, nice to meet you. Thanks for coming in today. Why don't we just jump right into it? Why don't you tell me a little bit about yourself?
So I'm currently the hospitality manager at Space Camp. I am a junior at UAH. I am trying to obtain my degree in general management. In the past, I've worked in both program and operations leadership. And in the future, I would like to move towards more of an HR role. And with that, I would like to obtain my master's degree in HR management.
Okay, so given your work history and your education, what you're pursuing now, why human resources and management? What about that speaks to you?
So since I've been working in leadership, I found a love for helping people. It's always been something that I've wanted to do. And HR just kind of seems like the perfect world to do that, whether it's helping somebody with a concern that they have at work or recruiting them into the job. You're constantly surrounded by people and helping them.
Okay, so moving into that HR role, if that's what you end up doing, what do you think are your greatest professional strengths? We'll start with that one.
So I'm well organized. I'm very invested in my job. I always see tasks through. And this is very important when it comes to the HR world, because when somebody does present a concern to you, they want to know that they have somebody that they can trust that will see their concern through to the end, so that way they can go back to living a better life and professionally.
Well, that was going to be my next question. Thanks for doing that. So why don't we go to the opposite side? Where do you think professionally you may have any weaknesses, or what do you think might be something you would want to improve on yourself?
So one thing I've noticed about myself since I've been working in management is I tend to have a hard time delegating to my own staff, and it's not because I don't trust them or I think they don't do a good job. It's more of I don't want them to think that I don't care about the work that I put into the world, or I don't trust them. So I'm trying to work on finding that line of, yes, this is good to delegate, or yes, this is a time where you need to step in and help them with their job.
Do you have a good relationship with your staff?
I do. They're really great.
Excellent. So what kind of work environment do you thrive in? You've told me a little bit about, being frontline, being in leadership, wanting to go into human resources. What's a good work environment for you, or where do you think you'd like to end up?
So with human resources, I think that it would be more of a slow-paced environment, which I work well in. However, I do also enjoy a very fast-paced work environment. I come from a few summers of summer camp, and so working with kids and parents, I've seen very chaotic environments, which I feel like I do thrive in.
Why do you think that is?
I just work really well under pressure.
Okay. How would your boss describe you if he were, or she were sitting here right now?
So one thing that we do at Space Camp is whenever you enter in the management world, we take a color personality test. Those color options are blue, gold, orange, and green. So here recently, actually just this past week, my boss described me as a blue leader. What that means is I'm somebody who is compassionate and kind of has empathy with their staff, making sure that I'm a servant leader at all times. And that's pretty spot on, because when I did take that test, I got half blue and half gold. Half gold means that I'm very dependent and well organized, and that's more of like the management role inside the leadership.
Okay, you said something there that I want to dig deeper on, especially in most organizations as they struggle to grow their own talent or have people take on leadership and management roles. What do you mean by servant leader or servant leadership?
So to me, servant leadership is basically you see leadership structure. You see the bottom and it works their way up to the CEO, which is the top of the pyramid. To me, you should flip that. You should have the CEO working for whoever's underneath them working. And that's servant leadership, always being ready to help your staff, always being there, not necessarily doing their job for them, but they know that they can depend on you if and when they do need you.
Is that part of the culture where you work, or is that something that you feel should apply anywhere?
I think it should apply anywhere.
Okay. Being a servant leader, especially like you said, is sort of top down, and that can lead to stress and frustration. How do you deal with stress? How do you manage it?
So I do really well with it actually, and I think that it comes from working in a customer-facing role. Um, a lot of times, not only am I working in customer service, but I have parents who are dropping their kids off in an unfamiliar place, and they're already nervous about dropping their babies off, and now they're in this new place. It's big, and every little thing almost seems like the end of the world to them. So you got to remember to stay upbeat and calm whenever you're dealing with these stressful situations.
How do you help your staff manage their stress?
I always let them know that they can lean on me whenever they need to, and I try and take as much stress off of them when the situation is presenting itself. They need to step away. I know sometimes that works for people, but more times than not, I try to keep them involved as much as possible, so that way, if the situation occurs again, they know how to better handle it less stressfully.
Okay. You mentioned being in that customer-facing role, dealing with parents where like one tiny thing means the end of the world. How do you deal with upset customers? What's your approach?
So it's always important to hear them through. More times than not, they just want to vent to you about whatever the situation is. And a good strategy that I've learned working in customer service is to always kind of paraphrase what they're saying back to them. So not only is it you kind of processing what they're saying, but it also makes them feel like you're listening to what they're saying. So once you and the customer, or you and the other staff member are kind of on the same page, it's always important to let them know that either you're going to handle the situation right then, or you're going to personally go to the staff member that can help them and see the concern through to the end. It's also very important to thank the customer, no matter how upset they get with you or frustrated at the situation. The last thing you want is a customer to walk away from their experience with your company feeling ashamed or embarrassed or anything like that. You want them to feel like they put some good into the world by addressing this concern they had and letting you have the opportunity to fix it.
Okay, would you mind telling me, it doesn't have to be the most difficult or most upset, but just an example of when you've had to assist an upset customer?
So one thing that we see a lot where I work is customers will come in and they expect their children to be housed or roomed with their friends' children. And the way that works is they have to submit these things called buddy codes. They do that online before they arrive, and if one of the parents don't submit a buddy code, then it's not in our system to room them together. So they get to camp, they have this expectation, and they feel like we just didn't meet it, whether it's in our control or not. And so a lot of the times with that, we kind of have to scramble for a second to figure out what kids can move, what kids can come in, but that is one of the hardest concerns that I deal with on a daily basis.
Okay. What do you think is your professional or personal motivation? What gets you out of bed every day and gets you going to work?
It's definitely my staff. I've invested a lot of time in them, especially this year with their training. Seeing them enjoy their job makes, no matter how hard of a day it is for me, it makes it worth it. One thing that I really take pride in is when I train my staff on a new policy or a new procedure, and I see them pick it up. But not only that, but I also see them start training other people on how to do that policy as well. That's what motivates me.
Do you think it'd be difficult for you to lead them?
I think it would be difficult. However, I think that it would be necessary for them to have growth as well. Either they could move into my role and kind of take some of the things that I've taught them through years, or they could grow under another leader, which I feel like is also important.
Okay. You've obviously done a lot. You're in school, you're trying for your master's. What else have you done for your own personal or professional development?
One thing that I've done recently is I joined the Women in Leadership and Business Club at UAH, and I was recently elected president of that club. So
Wow. Well
in the 2020 academic year, I look forward to doing more events with them, kind of organizing different things for that club.
Okay. Well, that about wraps up most of what I had. Do you have any questions for me?
So, in the hospitality industry, and I know you don't work hospitality, however, what do you look for in somebody that does want to work in hospitality?
That's an excellent question. What I look for in hospitality is somebody to treat me with respect, to offer gracious behavior, seem invested in the satisfaction of my experience, whether it be the concierge at a hotel or the barista at Starbucks or the person in the deli at Publix. Hospitality for me, doesn't just mean somebody's doing their job to take care of me. I think it means that somebody is going further to make sure that their customers, whether that's me or somebody else, is having the best experience possible. Not just what they're paid for or what they're supposed to do, but taking that extra step or making that customer or that person feel special and unique in the eyes of the employee that's helping them out.
Now, with how you feel about hospitality, how would you transition that into an HR management role?
So I feel like it would go hand in hand almost. Like you mentioned earlier, the essential parts of human resources is making people feel like they have a place to go and work, whether that's because you're helping them find a safe way to deal with a concern, or you're offering them professional development, or just even a helping hand through an employee association or something else. A good human resources manager is going to be somebody who doesn't just take the time to listen because it's their job, but they're following up and getting back and making sure that that employee feels taken care of and feels like the organization cares about their success.
What do you feel like is the best leadership training that you've got out of this company?
Ooh. So the best formal leadership training I received was actually trying to find the right words to put it. I was part of a leadership training group while I was entry level as well, and a lot of what we focused on was team building and helping people understand what our VP now calls crew concept. That, like, just because this person's a manager or this person's a director or this person is the frontline employee, everybody's role matters and everybody's success is dependent on everybody else's. And that was very eye-opening for me as a leader, because it helped me see that, like, yes, even if I take all these steps and do all these things, like, I don't get to take those steps unless I'm helping other people succeed, because I can't succeed without their success. You know, informally, I've had lots of great mentors as well. I've had good vice presidents, I've had good directors, but really the biggest thing was honestly that one of those first introduction to teamwork lessons I had about how everybody's role matters.
Awesome.
Is there anything else I can do?
I don't believe so. Thank you for your time.
No, thank you for coming in. I appreciate it. Good luck.
Thank you.